بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
الرحمن الرحيم. نحن نقص عليك نبأهم بالحق إنهم فتية آمنوا بربهم وزدناهم هدى وربطنا على قلوبهم إذ قاموا فقالوا ربنا رب السماوات والأرض لن ندعو من دونه إلها لقد قلنا إذا شططا. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بادروا بالأعمال فتنا كقطع الليل المظلم يصبح الرجل مؤمنا ويمسي كافرا ويمسي مؤمنا ويصبح كافرا يبيع دينه بعرض من الدنيا. صدق الله العظيم وصدق الرسول النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Respected brothers and honorable elders, it's a great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are gathered here. We gathered for the Salatul Isha with Jamaat in the masjid. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentions that the one who performs Salatul Isha with Jamaat in the masjid, he gets the reward of praying half the night. فَكَأَنَّمَا يَقُومُ نِصْفَ اللَّيْلِ. And the one who performs Salatul Fajr with Jamaat in the masjid, then he gets the reward of praying the other half of the night. فَكَأَنَّمَا يَقُومُ كُلَّ اللَّيْلِ. فَكَأَنَّمَا يَقُومُ اللَّيْلَ كُلَّهُ. It's as if he prayed the entire night. So let us inshallah make this intention from now, that performing Salatul Fajr with Jamaat and inshallah performing Salatul Isha with Jamaat, that perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the reward of praying the entire night. How easy Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has made it. This is the barakah of the sunnah. The beauty of the sunnah is that it is simple and it is easy, but the rewards are tremendous. The rewards are immense. Imagine if a person, he were to actually sit all night in ibadat, the entire night. It would be so exhausting, so tiring. But when a person, he just implements the deen according to the sunnah of Nabi Akram sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, look at the great ajr that Allah gives him. Just performing Salatul Isha with Jamaat, and then performing Salatul Fajr with Jamaat, you get the reward of praying the entire night. And this is mentioned in a sahih, authentic hadith. May Allah give us all tawfiq. With that being said, the times that we are living in, they are very, very great times of turmoil, great times of fitna. And when we look at what is happening in the world, a lot of times people say, what should we do? What can we do? What's the solution? Wars are happening, fitnas are happening, darkness is being spread everywhere. What's the solution? Which ruler can get us out of these halat? Who can we vote for that's going to save us? Subhanallah, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam in this beautiful hadith, such a ilaj and such a remedy he has given us that it is amazing. The Quran and hadith is our malja, it is our recourse. In every difficulty, in every fitna, in every hardship, in every worry, in every pareshani, our ruju' should be to what Allah and His Messenger has guided us. So let's see, what has Allah and Messenger guided us? In this hadith narrated in Tirmidhi that I read before you, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is doing a prophecy. It's telling us a prophecy, Peshingoi. بَادِرُوا بِالْأَعْمَالِ فِتَنًا كَقِطَعِ اللَّيْلِ الْمُظْلِمِ. Hasten to do good deeds before such fitnas come upon you that are like the darknesses of the night. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is telling us that the fitnas are going to come upon my ummah. And how these fitnas are going to come, one after another, كَقِطَعِ اللَّيْلِ الْمُظْلِمِ. Like the portions of the darkness of the night. When the sun sets, first you see twilight, a little bit red in the horizon. Then after that you see the yellow in the horizon. And after that you see a little bit more dark. It becomes white in the horizon. Then it becomes darker. It becomes then you start seeing more blue in the horizon, and then it becomes black in the horizon, and then at midnight it becomes completely dark. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling us that these fitnas are going to come like this. كَقِطَعِ اللَّيْلِ الْمُظْلِمِ, like the pieces, like the stages of the darkness of the night. لَا يَأْتِي زَمَانٌ إِلَّا وَالَّذِي بَعْدَهُ شَرٌّ مِّنْهُ. There is no zamana, there is no time except that the one after it will be worse than the one before. يُصْبِحُ الرَّجُلُ مُؤْمِنًا وَيُمْسِي كَافِرًا. A person will wake up in the morning a believer, by evening time he has become a kafir already. وَيُمْسِي مُؤْمِنًا وَيُصْبِحُ كَافِرًا. And he goes into the evening, salamat, with Iman, but he wakes up and he says, I'm not a believer anymore. And what's the reason? يَبِيعُ دِينَهُ بِعَرَضٍ مِّنَ الدُّنْيَا. He sells his deen and he compromises his deen for some worldly benefit. But the solution is also in this hadith. See, there is no hopelessness. When we have the Quran and the Sunnah, there is no hopelessness. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Badiru bil a'mali." Run, badiru. Hasten towards the good deeds. Badiru bil a'mali fitanan. Hasten to do good deeds before these fitnas come upon you. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you cannot fight fitna with just politics. You cannot fight the fitna by punching the air. You cannot fight the fitna by running or jumping or getting involved in all these other types of things. The solution is amal. I'm not saying this. If you want to argue, argue with the hadith. This is not my words. This is a sahih hadith from the Sunan of Imam al-Tirmidhi, rahimahullah ta'ala. Badiru bil a'mali fitanan كَقِطَعِ اللَّيْلِ الْمُظْلِمِ. Hasten to do righteous deeds. Run towards a'mal salihah before these fitnas come upon you. What's the solution? A'mal salihah. This is why, subhanallah, the effort of our elders, the effort that the juhud and the effort of tableeq that our mashayikh and our elders, they have given us this tarteeb. What is in actuality this tarteeb? This tarteeb is to protect our iman and to propagate iman. For the preservation of iman and for the propagation of iman. By the word of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What is this effort? Does anybody know what the effort is about? The effort is the effort of reviving amal. Reviving amal in my life and reviving amal in the life in the masajid, and like this we are spreading amal wherever we go. This is in reality what this work is. This is the solution of the fitna. The one who remains connected with this work, with this effort, with amal. The one who, you could spend your whole life in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but if amal doesn't come in your life, you will not be protected from the fitnas. How much of the amal has come inside of your life? This is what this work is about. And this is what we should be focused upon. How the amal are going to be revived in our local masjid. How the amal then are going to be revived in our home. How the amal is going to be then revived in the entire community. How the amal will be revived in the entire world. Hazrat Maulana Yusuf Sahib, Hazrat Ji Rahmatullah Alayhi, he said something amazing. He said when the sun rises, the sun is a nurani jism. It's a nurani celestial body. So when the sun rises upon the horizon, what happens? Because the sun is rising and it is filled with nur, then when the sun rises, the entire world is filled with nur. Because this sun is carrying the nur and spreading the nur. He said if the sun was something that would lack the nur, it was just a stone, it is just something that has no light in it. If it would rise, nothing would spread but darkness. Hazrat Ji Rahmatullah Alayhi then said, he says, our work, our objective in this effort, that we become carriers of nur, and wherever we go, we spread the nur. Just like when the sun rises on the horizon, everything in this world which is darkness, the darkness automatically becomes dispelled. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this in the Quran. أَوَمَنْ كَانَ مَيْتًا فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ كَمَنْ مَثَلُهُ فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ لَيْسَ بِخَارِجٍ مِنْهَا. Allah gives the example of a person who has Iman in his life, who has revived Iman, true Iman and A'mal Salihah in his life. He says this person is alive. Ye zinda hai. أَوَمَنْ كَانَ مَيْتًا, he was dead. فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ يعني بنور الإيمان والأعمال الصالحة. He was dead without Iman. He was dead without A'mal. فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ, we gave him life. From this we understand that Iman and A'mal Salihah is what gives us life. And when you have life, what does Allah Ta'ala call this? وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا. And with that Iman and A'mal Salihah, what does he have? He has nur. And what does he do with that nur? He doesn't keep it for himself. يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ. लोगों के दरमियान उसके साथ चलता है. He walks with that nur amongst the people. He spreads that nur amongst the people. Which nur? The nur of Iman and the nur of A'mal. Hazrat Ji Rahmatullah then said, he said, the effort, this work is about the nur of Iman and the nur of A'mal. Bringing that nur inside of us and then spreading that nur to our families, to our loved ones, to our communities, and then throughout the entire world. This is the solution to these fitnas. These fitnas are darknesses. By the definition of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this zina, this evil, this darkness, these gunas, these sins, this behayai, this all of these things that we see around us, this jahalat and this bedini and behayai that is spreading around us, all of it is darkness. How do we fight the darkness? With light. The light of Amal, the light of Iman, the effort of Amal, the effort of Iman. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he further says, so we understand that Amal is the solution. Amal is our refuge. Amal is our refuge from these fitnas. Furthermore, what did Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam say? What is his nuskha? The first one is Iman and Amal. To have carry this nur. Because when you're in darkness, the most important thing you need when you're in the darkness is what? You need a flashlight. First thing you're looking for is the light. When you're in darkness, where does our light come from? We are in darkness. Where does our light come from? Our light comes from Iman and Amal. This effort is the work of Iman and Amal. The more we focus upon reviving this work, we are reviving Iman and Amal. We're reviving that nur in our lives. Second nuskha. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he mentions. He said that the one who recites Surah Al-Kahf every Friday, Allah gives him a nur. The one who recites the first 10 ayats, there's different riwayat. One says all of Surah Kahf. Another says the first 10 ayats of Surah Kahf. Another says the last 10 ayats of Surah Kahf. Khulasa is something in Surah Al-Kahf. There is a secret in this surah that will protect the person from the fitna of Dajjal. Isn't it? The hadith says the first 10 ayats, the last 10 ayats, the entire surah, different riwayat have been mentioned. The ulama mentioned why of the different riwayat. Which one is it? Which one is it? All of it? 10, first 10, last 10? He said, Nabi Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he taught us this so it would be easy for us. Whichever one is easy for you. To have a nisbat with Surah Al-Kahf. I remember in my first year, when I was in Azadville, I asked Hazrat Maulana Abdullah Dabelia, I said, Maulana, I want to know what's the reason why Nabi Akram sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that the one who reads Surah Kahf, he's saved from the fitna of Dajjal. So Maulana Abdullah Sahab said, he said, you shouldn't ask these questions. We don't know the raz. We don't know the hikmah. We believe in it. Amanna wa saddaqna. We should not ask these matters. But I was a student of knowledge. I said, no way, Jose. No way. I went straight to the top, Maulana Fazl Rahman Sahib ke paas gaya, Shaykh al-Hadith ke paas. I said, I'm not going to take this. I'm too inquisitive, I'm too curious. There has to be something. Why? Why did Rasulullah ﷺ say, this surah will protect you from the fitna of Dajjal? I want to know. So one of my teachers said, no, you shouldn't ask this question because this is only raz. Ye raz hai, bas पूछना नहीं चाहिए. I said, no, there shuruhat, 20-30 volumes of hadith, commentaries have been written. Hazrat Shaykh wrote Fazail Amal. How much commentary? One hadith, he explains 10-15 pages. 10 pages, 5 pages on one word. I said, it's not possible. It was not enough for me. I went to the top. So when I went to Fazl Rahman Sahib and I asked him, he said, of course, इसके बारे इस सवाल के बारे में तो पूरी किताब लिखी गई. इस सवाल के बारे में तो पूरी किताब लिखी गई. An entire book has been written about this by Maulana Abul Hasan Ali Nadwi rahmatullah alayh. The name of the book is Ma'arakatul Iman wal Maddiya. The struggle between materialism and Iman. And it's been translated in English, and it's also been translated into Urdu. It was actually originally in Arabic. And he said that the reason that this surah, Suratul Kahf, is the protection from Dajjal is because of the mazmoon, is the subject matter in this. The whole subject and theme of Suratul Kahf is the struggle between the material and the Iman. Maddi nizam or Imani nizam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this surah, He is discussing the material nizam and the Imani nizam. And the story starts with the story of Ashab Kahf. And Ashab Kahf is very important for us to understand. Because this is the perfect example of the effort that the Akabir and the Mashayikh of Tableeq, they established for us, and they described for us, and they explained for us. All of the usuls is in the story of Ashab Kahf. Who are they? They were a people in a time of fitna. They were the people that they were surrounded by kufr. Everyone in their country, in their city, all of them in their mamlakat, they were worshipping idols. And there was a zalim king above them. That zalim king said that if you worship something other than our gods, you will be punished, you will be put to the death. So he found out that these young men, these ashab, these young men, they're all the sons of the nobles. They're sons of the rich class. So this king, whose name was Duqyanus, Dicinius summoned them. He says, what is this that I hear that you're calling upon a god other than our gods? These are our gods. Why you do not worship them? These are our idols. Why do you refuse them? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions them in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions them. هَؤُلَاءِ قَوْمٌ اتَّخَذُوا مِن دُونِهِ آلِهَةً. This qawm of ours, they have taken gods besides our Allah. لَوْلَا يَأْتُونَ عَلَيْهِمْ بِسُلْطَانٍ بَيِّنٍ. Why do they not bring clear proof for these statues that they are worshipping? فَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ مِمَّنْ افْتَرَى عَلَى اللَّهِ كَذِبًا. Who is worse than the one who ascribes partners to Allah, who fabricates lies upon Allah? He says, look, I'm giving you a chance because I know your parents. I know your fathers. Your fathers are honorable. Your fathers are respected in our community. So I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to give you one more chance. And next time I hear that you are calling upon some other god, then I'm going to put all of you to death. All of you will be put to death. So all the brothers, they got together. They said, what should we do? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, Allahu Akbar. نَحْنُ نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ نَبَأَهُمْ بِالْحَقِّ. How honorable was their maqam, how honorable was their iman, was their himmat, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, let me tell you their story. نَحْنُ نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ نَبَأَهُمْ بِالْحَقِّ. We are going to now tell you their story in truth. إِنَّهُمْ فِتْيَةٌ آمَنُوا بِرَبِّهِمْ وَزِدْنَاهُمْ هُدًى. They were men, they were young men who stood up. They say that Himmat Mardan Madad Khuda. They did Himmat Mardan, they had Himmat. They stood against their entire people. Despite the fact that they were surrounded by the fitna, they made their Jamaat. They got together. They had Himmat. And what? وَرَبَطْنَا عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ إِذْ قَامُوا. Allah says, we fortified the Iman in their hearts when they stood up. When they stood up, when they were ready to make khuruj, رَبَطْنَا عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ. That moment where they were ready to make khuruj, إِذْ قَامُوا, जब खड़े हो गए, नाम देने के वक्त खड़े होते हैं ना, खड़े हो जाओ भाइयों. So what happens when you stand for the sake of Allah? What happens when you stand for the sake of Iman? What happens when you stand for the sake of the deen, to preserve your Iman, to preserve your Amal, to bring nur inside your heart? وَرَبَطْنَا عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ إِذْ قَامُوا, जब खड़े हो गए deen के लिए. That is when Allah strengthened the Iman in their heart. This is Quran, brothers. I'm not giving some bayan from somewhere else. If anybody wants to argue, argue with the Quran. Anytime a person stands for the sake of Iman, it doesn't matter where you stand. You could stand for the effort of Tableeq, you could stand for the effort of any effort to stand for your Iman, to have himmat for your Iman. Allah will fortify the Iman in your heart. This is the Nas Quran Kareem. Fitna will not affect you. This is why the fitna of Dajjal will not affect the person who reads Surah Kahf. وَرَبَطْنَا عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ. And we fortified the Iman in their hearts. إِذْ قَامُوا فَقَالُوا. खड़े हो गए. They stood up and they said, what did they say? رَبُّنَا رَبُّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. फिर दावत दी उन्होंने. Is dawat, is it not? They stood up and they gave dawat. قَامُوا فَقَالُوا. खड़े हो गए और दावत देने लगे. رَبُّنَا رَبُّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Our Lord is the Lord of the heavens and the earth. رَبُّ السَّمَاوَاتِ لَن نَدْعُوَ مِن دُونِهِ إِلَهًا. We will never ever call a God besides Allah. First point. First kalima. This is where it comes. First thing that they give dawah to. لَن نَدْعُوَ مِن دُونِهِ إِلَهًا. We will never call upon any God besides our Allah. لَقَدْ قُلْنَا إِذًا شَطَطًا. If we ever do such a thing, we have talked nothing but misguidance. If we talk anything other than the oneness of Allah, we are talking nonsense. هَؤُلَاءِ قَوْمًا اتَّخَذُوا مِن دُونِهِ آلِهَةً. We must make khuruj. We must get away from this. We must get away from that environment. We must change our environment. Allahu Akbar. We must go out in the path of Allah. We must change our environment. We must revive our Iman. We must call about the azamat of Allah Ta'ala. We must talk about the greatness of Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. We must stand up for our Iman. This is all from the story of Ashab Kahf. What then happens? وَإِذِ اعْتَزَلْتُمُوهُمْ وَمَا يَعْبُدُونَ إِلَّا اللَّهَ فَأْوُوا إِلَى الْكَهْفِ. And they separated themselves. This is what the i'tikaf is about. This is what the Shab Guzari is about. This is what crying in the night is about. وَإِذِ اعْتَزَلْتُمُوهُمْ. And when you separate yourself and you go into that Shab Guzari and the crying and asking Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala in tahajjud, فَأْوُوا إِلَى الْكَهْفِ. Take refuge in the cave. Now what is our cave? Our caves are the houses of Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. The place where the Iman is preserved. The place where the Iman grows. The place where the Iman is made tarbiyah of our Iman. Where does the Iman grow? The houses of Allah is like the greenhouse. You know greenhouse? If you take a plant and you put it inside the greenhouse, you take a tomato plant, you take any type of plant, you put it inside the greenhouse, the temperature and the environment is perfect for that plant to grow. Isn't it? When you put that plant inside. Because that greenhouse is a perfect environment. The masjid is the perfect ruhani environment for Iman. This is our kahf. When we talk about Surah Kahf, where is our kahf? Our kuhuf, our cave where our Iman will be preserved and protected are the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Go into these places where then now you have the bayan of Iman. You have the bayan of Amal. You have the halaqa ta'aleem. You have zikr, ibadat, khidmat, ta'aleem and ta'allum, zikr and ibadat, khidmat, dawat. This is where the Iman is going to grow. And if you do this, when you go into these places, يَنْشُرْ لَكُمْ رَبُّكُمْ مِنْ رَحْمَتِهِ, Allah will shower you with His mercy. Allah will shower you with His mercy. وَيُهَيِّئْ لَكُمْ مِنْ أَمْرِكُمْ مِرْفَقًا, and He will take care of all of your needs. Bhayo, subhanallah. How can you argue the Quran? These are people who stood up for Allah's sake. They gave dawah for the sake of Allah. They went out away from the evil environment. They created a jamaat and they went into seclusion, in ibadat and in zikr. They're making dua, and Allah Ta'ala is saying, when you separate yourself from that evil environment, when there's so much darkness, you have to go, you have to have that environment, creating that environment in that cave. We don't need to go in the caves. MashaAllah, the masajid are our imani caves that Surah Kahf is talking about. And Allah will take care. Allah will shower His mercy upon you, and Allah will take care of all of your other affairs. وَيُهَيِّئْ لَكُم مِّنْ أَمْرِكُم مِّرْفَقًا. He will show you shafaqat. He will show you rahmat in all of your affairs. All your dealings, all your matters will come in order. And not only that, my dear brothers, subhanallah, وَتَرَى الشَّمْسَ إِذَا طَلَعَتْ وَتَرَى الشَّمْسَ إِذَا طَلَعَتْ. They came in such a place. They were going. And while they were going, they found such a cave that was a north-south facing cave. The one side of it was facing north, or the other side was facing south. In such a way where the setting of the sun and the rising of the sun would be on the east and west, and the opening of the cave was northerly or southerly. Yani Allah put them, because they came out for the preservation of Iman, Yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put them in such a situation that they would go inside of this cave to fall asleep, and such a cave Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made muhayya for them. Such a cave Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prepared for them, that they found, yani Allah out of, yani kya intizam banaya unke liye Allah ta'ala. How Allah made intizam for them. You cannot imagine. A cave that is northerly or southerly. In other words, that when the sun would rise, it would not be facing the opening of the cave, so that the sun would be shining into the cave to wake them up or to bother them. Yani even the way the cave was situated was in such a way that would not harm them. Yani kya intizam banaya Allah Ta'ala ne unke liye. Allah intizam karta hai. Yani the things that you would not imagine, that when you go out in the path of Allah, Allah will do such an intizam for you, to preserve you, to protect you, that you cannot even imagine. وَإِذَا غَرَبَتْ. This is what this ayah is talking about. تَرَى الشَّمْسَ إِذَا طَلَعَتْ تَزَاوَرُ عَنْ كَهْفِهِمْ. When the sun would rise from the east, it would turn away from the cave. And when it was set in the west, it would go away from the cave. In other words, it was a north-south cave, not an east-west cave. ذَلِكَ مِنْ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ. This is from the signs of Allah. This is from the qudrat of Allah. This is from the nusrat of Allah. This is from the qudrat of Allah. This is from the nusrat of Allah. مَنْ يَهْدِ اللَّهُ فَهُوَ الْمُهْتَدِ. The one who Allah guides, nobody can misguide him. وَمَنْ يُضْلِلْ فَلَنْ تَجِدَ لَهُ وَلِيًّا مُرْشِدًا. And the one who Allah leaves him, you can never find anyone who will be able to guide such a person. Allahu Akbar. وَتَحْسَبُهُمْ أَيْقَاظًا. And on top of that, how did Allah make intizam of their protection? That they were sleeping with their eyes open. They went in the cave and said, oh man, we're feeling tired, let's sleep. They're sleeping with their eyes open. This is another intizam that Allah made. Yani qudrati taur par. Allah made intizam that they were sleeping with their eyes open, so that if a creature comes, if a lion comes, if a wolf comes inside, I mean, what is a cave? Cave is a place where wolves sleep. It could have been a den of a wolf. It could be a bear saying, okay, here's a nice cave, I can go and hibernate here. But now you have these 7 guys in the cave with their eyes, all of them is open. Anything that comes to see them like that, he would run away. Yani another intizam Allah made. Allah made an extra intizam for their security and their protection. تحسبهم أيقاظا ونقلبهم ذات اليمين وذات الشمال, and Allah would turn them to the right and Allah would turn them to the left, so that their bodies do not become decomposed. وكلبهم باسط ذراعيه بالوصيد, and there is a dog that also started following them. The dog started following them, and they're trying to chase this dog away. And in some of the riwayat, Allama Alusi mentions, Allahu alam about the sihat al-riwayat, they were chasing this dog, throwing rocks. What is this dog now coming and following us? So the dog, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that the dog was made to speak, as is mentioned in the tafsir of Allama Alusi. I'm not mentioning some fake riwayat. This is in the tafsir of Allama Alusi, Tafsir Ruhul Mani. So the dog said, please leave me. Ahrisakum. I just want to protect you. Inni uhibbu ahibba'ullah. I love the lovers of Allah. I love those people who are the believers and those who sacrifice for the sake of Allah. Let me just protect you. I will come. You know, the guard dog is permissible. I'll stay outside the house, not inside the house. And that's what he did. He was outside of the house. وَكَلْبُهُمْ بَاسِطٌ ذِرَاعَيْهِ بِالْوَصِيدِ, and the dog was sitting in front of the mouth of the cave, protecting them. This is another thing that we understand, as those people who leave in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to preserve their iman, they will have effect upon not only the human beings, but even the animals will get affected by their ikhlas. Dekhiye, kutta bhi unki ikhlas se mutaassir hua. Even the dog became affected by the ikhlas and by the sincerity that he started to follow them. So many signs in this surah, it is amazing. There's a reason. That's what I said. There's a reason why Rasulullah ﷺ said that the one who recites Surah Kahf, he will be protected from the fitna of Dajjal, because all the answers are here, but we don't read. We don't ponder. We don't reflect. The ayah continues. وَكَذَلِكَ بَعَثْنَاهُمْ لِيَتَسَاءَلُوا بَيْنَهُمْ. Another thing that the ulama mentioned, which is so amazing. It says that 309 years passed and they remained like this, inside of the cave. They could not change that zamana. So Allah changed the zamana for them. They could not change the zamana. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them sleep for 309 years and brought them back awake in that zamana, which the king now was a believer. This is amazing. The reason for which they made khuruj, the reason for which they left their homes, was to preserve their iman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they could not change that zamana. The king was too powerful. He was a tyrant. He was a zalim. So sometimes certain things are not possible. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing us that maybe something might not be possible in your first glance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it possible in another way that you cannot even imagine. ऐसे तरीके से कि आपको वहम गुमान भी नहीं होगा. That if you can't change the zamana, Allah will change the zamana for you. And He brought them out in such a time in which there was a king that he was from the followers of Isa alayhi salam. This is what they say. But this particular group of people, they were from the time of Isa alayhi salam, but they were having theological debates that they said, we believe in God, but we don't believe in the life that a person will be brought back to life after death. Yani they were arguing this mas'ala, that can Allah bring the dead back to life? Uski tafsilat ke baare mein wo jagda kar rahe the. Tafsilat ke baare mein, okay? No, how will Allah do this? You know, can Allah bring the dead back to life or not? And this and that, and this was their, so they believed in God, but this was their particular how do you say, the arguments that they were making. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought them out and brought them in such a time where the people were believers, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also wanted that through them, Allah teaches and shows them this miracle. What miracle? That if Allah caused them to sleep for 309 years and brought them back to life, Allah literally caused them to die. That's not sleep, that's actually death. Nobody sleeps for 309 years. That's a death. And then Allah brought them back again. How can Allah not bring the dead back to life? How can Allah not resurrect those who have gone away from this world? So Allah Ta'ala continues, when they woke up, I'm feeling hungry, bhai. How long have you been awake? How long has it been? I think yawman aw ba'da yawm, half a day, maybe an entire day we've been sleeping. Okay, فَبَعَثُوا أَحَدَكُمْ بِوَرِقِكُمْ. So we have some coins. We have some, coins. Send somebody to the city. فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَيُّهَا أَزْكَى طَعَامًا. But go and see which food is more pure. Allahu Akbar. Dekhiye, halal haram. Those people say, see these halal haram police. This is not halal, that is not halal. This is Ashab Kahf. They're in the most fitna time. The people of their zamana, they are not even Muslims. But when they wake up, what they say? Ayyuha azka ta'aman. Go and see which is the most pure. He didn't say most halal. He said most pure food. Find that. Their main concern is halal. They don't say, oh, we're living in America, just eat whatever. Kullu halal. Everything is halal. No. Look at, they're living in a time of fitna. But when they wake up, what are they saying? فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَيُّهَا أَزْكَى طَعَامًا فَلْيَأْتِكُمْ بِرِزْقٍ مِّنْهُ وَلْيَتَلَطَّفْ. Go and see which food is most halal. وَلْيَتَلَطَّفْ. But be careful. Be inconspicuous so that they don't catch you. إِنَّهُمْ إِن يَظْهَرُوا عَلَيْكُمْ يَرْجُمُوكُمْ. If they find you, they're going to stone you. أَوْ يُعِيدُوكُمْ فِي مِلَّتِهِمْ. Or they're going to make you turn back to their religion. وَكَذَلِكَ أَعْثَرْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ. Allah Ta'ala says, the story, one of them goes into the market and he's covered, chadar is wrapped around, and he goes to buy some fish. So he gives the sikka, he gives the coin, and when he gives the coin, the guy is looking at the coin and he's saying, where did you get this from? He said, what do you mean, where did you get this from? Just give me the fish. He said, no. He grabbed him. He said, you got to tell me, where did you get this coin from? He says, what do you mean? This is the coins. This is the money. This is the money we use. He says, no, this is not the money we use. He grabbed him. He held on to him. He said, you have to tell me right now where you got this coin. He said, I got this coin from the store. This is the coin that we use. This is the city that I'm from. Then they brought some other people and they investigated them. When they investigated them, he said, do you know that this coin, it has the print of the king from 300 years ago. It has the print of the king, Duqianus, from 300 years ago. Where did you find it? Did you come across a treasure? So they were thinking that these people maybe came across some treasure. He said, take us to your other satis. They grabbed them. He said, please don't kill me. He said, no, we're not going to kill you. When he saw this entire environment, everything was changed. Then they realized something is going on. They took them back. When all of the entire village, they came and saw that they saw these seven, what they call the seven sleepers. In their history, it was written that 300 years ago, 7 young men, they escaped. And they escaped because to save their Iman, because the king wanted to kill them because they were not worshipping that God, those gods. And Allah Ta'ala then says, وَكَذَلِكَ أَعْثَرْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ. We made the people find them, and we made Ashab Kahf awaken in that time, لِيَعْلَمُوا أَنَّ وَعْدَ اللَّهِ حَقٌّ. So that the people will know, that those people will know, that the promise of Allah is true. Allah will bring and resurrect the dead from back to life. وَأَنَّ السَّاعَةَ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهَا. And there is no doubt in the sa'ah. There is no doubt about the day of judgment. إِذْ يَتَنَازَعُونَ بَيْنَهُمْ أَمْرَهُمْ. When they were arguing about this matter amongst themselves. They were having these theological debates. We don't know if the dead will be raised back. But when they saw this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it a da'wat for them. Allah saved the iman of those people, and Allah saved the iman of these young men. فَقَالُوا بُنُوا عَلَيْهِمْ بُنْيَانًا رَبُّهُمْ أَعْلَمُ بِهِمْ قَالَ الَّذِينَ غَلَبُوا عَلَىٰ أَمْرِهِمْ لَنَتَّخِذَنَّ عَلَيْهِمْ مَسْجِدًا. And then as they said, when they said this, the 7 young sleepers, again, they saw this miracle. They all came together. They went, they fell asleep again, and then they passed away. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala manifested this miracle. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserved the iman of these young men. And not only that, Allah ta'ala then says that ibnu alayhim bunyana rabbuhum a'lam bihim, make a masjid for them. Then they built a masjid close by that cave, and there's different places where they say that this now place exists. The crux of the story, my dear brothers and elders, the crux of the story is that when we stand up for our iman, we do the effort of iman and amal, we go out and create an environment of deen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will preserve our iman just as He preserved the iman of the Ashab Kahf. Allah will save us from the fitnas, and Allah will save us from the tribulations of the time, just as He saved them from the tribulations of the time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will change the environment. And if the environment does not become transformed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the effect of their effort, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make, look at the effect of their effort. They did not know that they're going to come to such a people who don't believe in Qiyamah. They don't believe in the resurrection. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used them. Allah used them and their iman and their efforts to give hidayah to an entire people and save them from the punishment of Jahannam. This is a reminder for us, my dear brothers and elders, that when we do the effort, this effort in actuality, what is it? It is the preservation of our iman and the propagation of our iman. And what is that in reality? To create nur inside of us, that we become carriers of this nur through amal, through iman and amal salihah, and that we spread this nur throughout the world like others. That who knows that by us standing, Allah fortifies our faith and Allah fortifies the faith of everyone else. The key to this effort and what is, what's hidden is the blessings of this effort is hidden in its simplicity. Nowadays we're living in a time of social media. We're living in a time of YouTube and social media and this, that, and other. People are always looking for, what's the new story? What's the new catch? But what they don't realize is you don't need to reinvent the wheel. The work of our elders, in actuality, when you read the Quran and Hadith, you will see that the work and the understanding of the elders, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Everything that is needed for the preservation and propagation of the deen is in this effort. Allahu Akbar. So for this is why we come out, this is why we have these efforts. Let us, inshallah ta'ala, those who, inshallah, the holidays are coming. The students are here, mashallah. The greatest of the times that you will experience, inshallah, is when you are in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we see how the iman was preserved then, the iman will also be preserved in our own lives. Let us give our names, inshallah ta'ala, those who are ready, those who are students, the upcoming, inshallah, holidays. That inshallah we revive in our own lives, and we encourage others also. Because in this day and age, in this time of fitna, as the Prophet ﷺ said, Badiru bil a'mal, we have to be connected with any effort that is focused on the a'mal. What effort are you focused on? Where is our a'mal? This is what it's for. This is what this work is about. How we can revive the iman and the a'mal. So let's give our names, inshallah ta'ala. Who is ready to give some time, the upcoming holidays?